The amount of emails that I have received regarding the Charlie Kirk assassination has been overwhelming, and I thank you for reaching out to me on my X account, Instagram, and email that you can see right here below this video. And one recurring theme that you have been asking over and over again is, Jesus, you have to watch this video. Make sure that you watch this video. Make sure that you watch this video. And the video in question is this one, Ballistics Don't Lie, a video I didn't want to make from the channel Outside the Overton. Now, I'm going to make a short commentary about this channel of Seb Boykin and Josh Vandernoort. This is not a criticism. I am not saying that they are doing a bad job or anything. I think every single one of us is trying to find the truth about this. But I want to start out like trying to establish the physical reality of this. There are things about the Charlie Kirk assassination that many people are getting wrong, and I want to set the record straight in three aspects right now. Now, it is not my stance. I want to say something first. I want to be very clear about this. I don't trust the FBI any more than you do. It's like we have, trust issues with any government agency that says such and such. I still have no way of saying, yeah, Tyler Robinson was the one who pulled the trigger, even if his DNA was on the trigger of the rifle. Or that is what the FBI says. Many people are saying, oh, there was another shooter somewhere. It is my theory that there were more people in the audience that knew what was going to happen, and at least one of those that we cannot possibly know so far who was, acted as some kind of a spotter because, Robinson couldn't have heard what went to take the shot, and that's why I covered on a previous video. Now, there's one thing that we can be absolutely sure is that the bullet came from the front. And how can we be absolutely sure of that? Is the way Charlie's body jolts the moment he is hit. I am not going to play the video, of course, with respect to Charlie and his family, but the jolt is exactly like this. He is, I'm going to try to maybe turn a bit to one side so I can mimic his jolt in slow motion. He basically does this movement. When he receives the impact, he does this movement. And then we see the hole in his neck, and then we see the gushing of blood. This movement, like this, means that the main force of impact came from the front. The bullet hits the neck, and upon hitting the neck, which is rather fleshy, more of that info in a minute, he does this just by reaction. I see so many people saying or claiming, as the video that I'm going to comment right now, that the shooter was from one side, was from his right, or maybe even from his left. So many theories about that. But if the shooter was on his right, once again, the same force applies, but he's not gonna jolt backwards. If the bullet entered somehow from the back of his head or through his ears next to his jaw and exited from this point of his neck, then the jolt will be this way. All right? The bullet enters and pushes him to one side instead of pushing him backwards. That is basic physics, and no matter how much you want it to change, no matter how we don't trust the FBI, physics is physics. The jolt backwards is a front force pushing his body backwards. If the shot was from the right, or his right, then the jolt would be this way. If the shot was from the left, the jolt would be on the opposite side. And if there was a shot from backwards, then his jolt would be like this, like push from the back. That is basic physics, and no matter how much you want to watch it in any single videos and theories out there, that is not going to change. Again, I love a conspiracy theory, like, oh, there was a shooter, there was a fake, such and such, as in there was somebody shooting a salvo or rifle at 140 yards, but that was a misleading, but this was this guy with a silencer from one side. Okay, if the shot had been actually from one side, the jolt of his body would reflect that from one side or the other, right? Let alone, well, where is the bullet? More than in a minute. And the second thing, physics don't lie. The second thing that proves where the shot came from is the audio forensics. This you cannot fake. In every single video, from every single angle, we hear and see the exact same pattern. We hear the shot, and just a fraction of a second later, we see Charlie's body jolting because of the impact from the front, so he jolts backward. The fraction of time is consistent with the sound traveling. I think it's one before the other, but the difference between the jolt and the shot is consistent with 140 yards. Now, some conspiracy theorists are saying, hey, what if it was so perfectly synchronized that somebody shot that rifle at the same time that somebody was shooting him from one side or from the front or whatever, or with a palm gun? That is really complicated. I think it is absolutely complicated. It's way easier just shoot him with a rifle and that's it. Or just use, if you have a gun with a silencer, why have a sound? You just shoot him with a silencer. Nobody would notice. Nobody would hear where the shot comes from. And maybe, but you need a patsy for that. You are overcomplicating this. Maybe you can fake the audio. That is a tiny possibility of that. I give you that. But the jolt backwards, no. There can't be a shot from the side, from the right, from the left, from the back. The shot came from the front. And then some people ask the question, there's a big problem, but the entry wound is not consistent with an entry wound. I've gone hunting and the entry wounds in animals are tiny and the exit wound is a mess. How do you explain that? Well, it's very simple. It depends where the entry wound is. If you have an entry wound in muscle, then yeah, it's going to be quite tiny, and the exit wound, as I explained in another video, is going to be a mess because the bullet is pushing not only tissue, but blood and a lot of stuff. And when there's exit, well, it's going to do this blood spatter, this mess, right? So you have an entry wound that is small and an exit wound that is a mess. Okay? You have maybe even a puff of blood. Why is Charlie bleeding so much? Because the bullet nicked the carotid artery, the external carotid artery here, and the moment it nicked it, just blood began gushing away. Maybe the wound itself is small, but the amount of blood make it seem like it's a big wound when it isn't. It's just the pressure of the heart pumping the blood to the brain and the blood coming out as, well, we had the disgrace of watching. That is the explanation why that wound looks so big. As to how come there's no visible exit wound, there's no blood spatter behind him, again, my theory is that the bullet entered at an angle from, a bit, just a bit up, from upwards, tilting down from the rooftop to where he was sitting, and the bullet entered his neck, and it somehow hit some vertebrae, and upon hitting the vertebrae, the bullet maybe ricocheted inside his body and is still inside his body. We don't have any bullet forensics, bullet trajectory forensics yet, but that is my best theory about that. We don't know where the bullet ended. My theory is that it ended inside his body after hitting a bone. Now, since you told me over and over again, watch this video. This guy has a very good point. I watched the video. I think that one thing that we should consider that, I don't know if this is Zeb or Josh, but well, one thing that the presentation was very good. I have to say it, the way that he explained all the cameras and everything, very nice. The way that he explained why his shirt jolts in such a strange way that it might be a cable from the microphone. That is a possibility. Yeah, it's a very good possibility. Although those clip-on mics have very good batteries that can last for hours. So, well, I think the jolting of the shirt is the least of our worries, because yeah, a body that moves fast enough, like jolting because of the bullet that comes from the front, then it can make the shirt jump just from the crazy movement, especially if the shirt was of a fabric, of a soft fabric. That is important. So we move forward in here, and there's the other claim. This is the other thing that I have some trouble with. They were claiming that what you see here, is the bullet that was frozen in mid-air thanks to the video. There's a bullet, and there's a bullet, and there's when he's shot. That is, and you can see, by the way, Charlie's body doing this. You can see this is from his left side. You can see that he's jolting backwards. Now, I have a big problem with this. I think there was a bug or a speck or dust or something. Why? Because you see the quality of the video, and you can imagine that this was recorded at what, 30 frames per second? At 30 frames per second, it is not possible to freeze a bullet in mid-air. You would have to be recording at, I don't know, it's maybe 1,000 frames per second, or maybe more, or maybe 120, or maybe 200 frames per second. And even so, you would have kind of a trace. But freezing a bullet mid-air like this, no, that's simply not possible. That if you have played the slightest with your phone, with a photograph, with a filming, you know that, yeah, to freeze a bullet mid-air like this, you need a really fast camera. That well, I don't think that was the case. Some people are saying that, oh yeah, but this was the high-resolution camera that was right in front of Charlie. No, that was not the angle from that high-resolution camera. And even so, I doubt that they would be recording at, like, what, 200 frames per second? Why would they do that? That would be a waste of time and a lot of memory that is going to fill up the memory card instantly. So no, I don't think this was the bullet in mid-air, because that is photographically and also physically not possible. And yeah, he makes a good point about how sometimes bullets can make a mess inside people's bodies. That is true. Still, that is a mystery. Where did the bullet ended? Why the FBI hasn't said anything about where the bullet ended? At least I haven't seen any records about that. Again, my idea is that the bullet was remained lodged inside Charlie's body. And there's my other problem, because according to this video, he claims that he says that this is an exit wound, not an entry wound. Okay, what we see in that gruesome video of Charlie. By the way, I have a problem with that. If this was an exit wound, I already said that in another video, we would have seen the poof of the bullet pushing tissue, blood, everything outwards. And no, we just see it's like punching hole appearing. That is consistent with an entry wound that begins to fill quickly with blood. That is all that I'm saying. So no, that cannot be an exit wound. But let's pretend for a moment that it can be an exit wound. Why not? Let's say. Then I want to understand if that is an exit wound, and that exit wound would be around here on the other side of his neck, right? I'm going to play this really really zoom in, then how come when we have that jolting back, you're gonna see that jolting back in a second. There's no blood in here. You're not gonna see anything gruesome. Let me see if you can. At no point, I think I made sure to not include the moment. At no point in this angle of the video, you see anything happen to Charlie's head. There's no dot, pixel, anything that changes. It's like the bullet magically enters his body from precisely the right side, according to this video, but we don't have absolutely any record or trace or clue or signal of it. No, that's wait a minute. We should be saying at least one frame, something. Oh yeah, but since the entry wounds are rather small, but how small can they be? And what was the angle? But because that is another problem, and that's why I thought that this was a bit sloppy. Because if this was the bullet, according to the video, then you have to trace a line from Charlie's neck to the bullet and into what? There was like a wall in there. It was people and some kind of stairs. I don't know. The last part of the video, again, there's no absolutely. I think there's the jolt in here. Let me zoom in so there's nothing crazy in here showing. No, I made sure to not include that. But you can watch the video and realize that, okay, yeah. I think this is the moment. Yeah, you can see that this is Charlie's head and face after the shot. It's a bit, I understand that it's a bit abstract, but there's no signals of any entry wound. Again, this is what I'm telling you. Again, I love conspiracies. I love something. Oh, the FBI is lying to us. I love all that. I love exactly the same as you do. And this is one of my biggest problems with this. And this is when I realized that this is misleading. He said that this right here was the flash of the gun. You see it, right? The flash of the gun was, he was shot from this angle. It was something that was empty from a window or something. You see people sitting here, but maybe there was somebody here with a silencer, so nobody heard him. You know the theory that somebody fired the rifle and this guy shot simultaneously, and that is the flash. According to this video, according to this guy, that was his claim. But there's a problem. When you see this flash, you go here to remember the guy in the blue shirt that he was making this kind of signals. Remember that? Well, we go back to the place where the flash is. There's the flash. I am not going to change the frame. And we go to the guy, and you notice that the guy hasn't finished his gestures or whatever he was doing with his arms. If that was the flash of the bullet, how come the bullet took from there, which is what, like 50 yards or something, or maybe less? And the guy, you see here, you're gonna play this
video, right? So if we're looking at this,
talking about that precisely, I'm gonna do here. He still has to, and or finish his gesture. That is like a quarter of a second, or maybe half a second. It is impossible that a bullet is gonna take half a second from that point to Charlie, because yeah, you can see it. I think that at some point you can see. All right, there it goes. This is the proof. This is the moment that the flash. You see the flash there that I showed you, and you see that the guy still had to put his arms in this position, and then you see Charlie's body jolting that way. That is what? That was like 8 frames, like 12 frames, half a second. No, that is not. That is simply not possible. That's way too much time from the flash and Charlie receiving the shot from the right, and we already know that the shot couldn't be from the right. And lastly, well, he makes some kind of map with the angle that I don't know what does this mean. Like, what do we have some kind of angle in here? I really didn't understand that. Again, I don't, this is not to criticize anybody. We all have been like in the dark. We all distrust the government agencies. We all want to get to the truth of this. But if there's something that is really important, is that we have to lead with the cold, hard facts. And there's nothing colder and harder and in terms of facts than physics. And both photography, both how body behaves under a bullet, both how certain entry wounds can be really messy, especially if they nick carotid artery. And I don't know what else to tell you. I really, the same way that he claimed that he didn't want to make this video, I wanted to make this video in all cases because, I don't know, I have sent this video like 100 times. I'm not exaggerating. It's like 100 times, but I thought that I had to address, again, the inconsistencies and any other theory that there was a shooter on the right, on the left, or I don't know, any angle, that simply doesn't hold up. Well, I would really love to know what do you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Battle Language Guy. Much love and bliss.